So what I have up on the screen here is an excerpt from the online course quality guidelines that Front Range uses. And one of the aspects, as I mentioned previously, is instructor presence. And just if you haven't had a course reviewed in online learning, hybrid courses may or may not be reviewed by your campus leads or department chairs or deans. Flipped classes, again, may be reviewed at the campus level in various ways. Online learning has a set of course quality guidelines. Courses are reviewed once a year, and one of the things that an online lead or an online department chair is going to look at when they're reviewing a course or doing a teaching evaluation is the instructor presence. And this is the verbiage that's there. Feel free to pause if you want to look at it. It's pretty vague. Intentionally so, because I don't think we're ready at this point to define for you as a teacher what instructor presence means. We know it can mean a lot of things, as was evidenced from the master teacher slide. And the first part of an online teaching or course evaluation is that the teacher completes a reflection, right? So if I were teaching a course before my online lead reviewed my course, what I do is I think about my own course and I type something in here, right? What am I doing in my course that exhibits instructor presence? And the point is, I am going to basically preview for the reviewer where in the course should they look if they want to see evidence of instructor presence. So I might, if it were my course, I would probably say, look at the screencasts that I have in the news area, look at the weekly content modules and note my screencast there and the lectures and materials that I've written. Look at the feedback I'm giving students in discussion. Look in the open discussion. Notice how I'm replying to students. Look how I'm capturing the teachable moment. Look at emails. Look at feedback I'm giving on activities. So this is really a way that I'm supposed to reflect on my course so I can guide my reviewer to the places in my course where they're going to see this teacher presence. I'm not going to talk too much about responding to emails and phone calls within 24 to 48 hours, mainly because when we survey online teachers at Front Range, the vast majority of our online teachers are logging into their online course 6 or 7 days a week. So, once in a while, a student will complain that they're not hearing back from a teacher soon enough, but that's not a big problem. I don't really think, that's probably really critically important that we don't let student emails sit in the queue forever and that we're responding to their questions in a timely manner. But when we looked at that master teacher slide, there was nothing on there that said my teacher replied to my emails quickly or the teacher responded to my phone calls quickly. Maybe that's just taken for granted, or maybe students simply aren't sending that many emails and phone calls. My sense is that instructor presence has to be something far beyond just being diligent about replying to student questions. Let me pause. So if you completed Unit 1, you saw this slide, and if not, you can look in the content module. In the content area, look at the Unit 1 content module, and you can download the presentation or go back to Unit 1 and watch the videos that are embedded in the activity, the quiz for Unit 1. But what this diagram shows is the three aspects to every course: the independent instructor work, right? That work that you're doing outside of class, if this were a traditional face-to-face class, the grading and whatever you're doing, prepping outside of class. Then there's the homework students do, right? All the work that they do outside of the classroom. And then there's this, again, for a face-to-face class, there's this instructor-directed teaching. In a face-to-face class, this would be the actual class time. So in a 3-credit quote-unquote lecture course, this would be 45 hours during the semester where you're meeting live with your students. And the Higher Learning Commission calls this instructor-directed teaching. Now, if we're talking about an online course, of course, this is not happening live. It's not happening face-to-face because there are no face-to-face meetings, but that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be the same amount of instructor-directed teaching. It's just going to be happening asynchronously in an online format. If you're teaching a hybrid class, well, some of this instructor-directed teaching is happening during the live hours you're meeting with your students, but the proportional part of the class that's online, well, that part of the instructor-directed teaching should be happening online. Why am I showing this slide here? Well, for one thing, it's not the case that all of the instructor presence has to happen here. If you're teaching a face-to-face class, some of your teaching presence is probably happening as part of your independent instructor work because you're grading there, right? You're writing comments on student papers, you're writing comments on activities and homework. And so when the student gets that essay back or when they get that assignment back and they read your feedback, they are experiencing your presence there, right? So really, there's probably more than 3 hours of teacher presence in a traditional face-to-face class. But I think one productive way to start honing in on what aspects of our class might count as teacher presence for ourselves, for the people reviewing our teaching, or for our students is to really think more about this instructor-directed teaching. What are we doing in our classes that we are calling instructor-directed teaching? When we've defined for ourselves what we're calling the teaching part of the class, that's at least almost a given that the student should see that as teacher presence, right? Whatever you're doing and you're calling it teaching, the student should be experiencing that as teaching, and they should recognize that as teacher presence. They should, they should see you, right? I mean, they're not going to literally see you unless you're doing screencasts, but in an online or a hybrid class, where are they going to experience your presence in that class? And that's probably here. And this slide, let's disappear myself here. So in the fall of 2015, in the online instructor faculty survey, we asked our teachers to tell us, what do you count as instructor-directed teaching in your online class? And I just wanted to give you a sense of the sorts of things that your online teaching colleagues had to say. Few people are doing live Google Hangouts or WebExes or other kinds of actual synchronous meetings in their classes. People are doing audio lectures and podcasts. It's interesting because over the years there were years, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, that podcasts were much more common. They're kind of waning in popularity, probably because instructor created screencasts and videos are now replacing podcasts a lot. Like, for instance, I used to do lots of podcasting. I don't do any podcasting. I've replaced all of that with audio, video stuff. What else? Creating, posting, curating links. So this is instructor as content curator. My students see me in the class because each week or in each unit, I'm not writing a whole textbook, but I'm collecting materials for the students, and I am putting them together in a curated format that they know is from me, using news items, right? Weekly news items, midweek updates, reaching out to students at the beginning of the week, during the week, to let them know, to reach out, to let them know I'm there, to touch bases with them. Just the grading, perhaps, or I imagine what people really meant here was not the numerical score they're putting, but the feedback they're giving, the written feedback, the audio feedback, that personalized feedback. So when the student reads it, that student knows it wasn't a computer that graded the homework. There's a real person there that actually read their homework and is giving them some kind of meaningful, timely feedback that will help them move forward in the class. Facilitating or moderating student activities. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but it's something other than discussion, because that was down here. I mean, far and away, the thing that most or many of our online teachers say that they do, that they count as teaching, is participation and facilitation of discussion. And just a teaser, there will be an entire unit on discussions a little bit later in the semester. So if you're interested in ways to use discussions as an active teacher presence, certainly consider taking that unit. I mentioned screencasts and feedback and videos. Pretty clearly, I think really highly of videos. That's why I'm including them in this course. Feedback on student work, sending and responding emails. So again, to give you a sense of the sorts of things your online teaching colleagues are doing in their classes that they are counting as teaching, these are some of them. I'm going to close out this screencast, and what I would like you to do in the text box below is think about the online, hybrid, or flipped class that you're teaching, and actually write out what are the things you're doing in that class specifically, with as much detail as you feel like offering. What are you doing in your class to be an engaged teacher? and be specific. I mean, what are you doing? You can even talk about how many minutes or hours per week you're doing. What are the variety of things that you're doing that if you were to ask your students, where are all the places that you're experiencing teacher presence? Where are all the places that you see me as a real teacher, that you see me guiding you, that you feel my presence, that you can see that I'm a caring, inspirational person? Where is that in the class? Or if you were filling out that online course quality guideline instructor reflection form, what would you write, right? If you're teaching a hybrid or an online class, what would you write so that if I were looking at your class and I only had 15 minutes to look at your class, and I wanted to find all the places that you're exhibiting teacher presence or engaging students, where would I look and how would I see it? So I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that.